Good morning and welcome back. Jason Winters, we thank you for spending time with us today. Talk to us some more about the PMO certification, the certified professional. I'm excited about that particular credential. Before we go on, you were going to explain to us about the value ring.
Yeah,
And I wanted to ask you about that. Did you want to show it first? And then I have a few questions for you.
sure. Let's go ahead and bring it up on the screen, and then we
Okay,
can
I'm going
walk
to
through
pull
it.
that up and then you could walk us through it.
Okay. So yes, this is great. So you can see it is a five-step process with some subtopics also attached to it. So like we said in the previous video, when you're first starting a PMO, and actually you don't have to use this to start it from scratch. You can also, with a PMO that's already existing, you can do this process as well. And actually, the best practice is every 12 months, you should be revisiting this. So there's also a health assessment that is attached to this that you can look at to make sure that you're still capturing the value that you want to provide. But if we get started with, the awareness building and the needs assessment, so that's really asking your audience. So when I say audience, who are the sponsors of your PMO? And again, we said it was C-suite or the top management. So what are the benefits they want to see out of the PMO? Some of them are kind of no-brainers, like I want training, I want RPM certified. Others, like I want a mentoring program, I want you to do benefits analysis for me, master planning. I want you to assess the way that we manage risk in our company. Are we doing it effectively? There's lots of different services that a PMO can provide.
And that's in the exploration phase, that phase one.
Yeah. So first, there's a list of like 30 some odd benefits that can be chosen from, and the best practice again is not choose all 30. Although when I looked at the ones that we were doing in my PMO or our PMO here, we were actually doing quite a number of them, maybe 16 or 17, which is a large number. But you want to start at the biggest ticket items, maybe the top 5 or 6 that, for the perception, again, the perception of the group is those are the most important things for me. I really want mentoring program here. I want people to have an avenue to develop themselves, develop their careers, but also have a neutral person that's not their direct boss that they can lean on. Great. I want our PM certified. So what are those services that they actually want out of the PMO?
Great. Take us to that next phase. What is that?
So when we get to the value proposition and then the service development, there's actually then a questionnaire that is talking about, what is the way that value can be delivered by the PMO? How is the and we'll talk maturity here in a moment, but there's a list of questions. So there's actually surveys that you send out, and based on what the people have selected, then you prioritize the ones that are the most that were chosen the most. And then you can figure out how you're actually going to be delivering those services. So how, in fact, are you going to deliver a mentoring program, for example? Do you have an existing one? Yes or no? If you don't, you're starting from scratch. So you're at the lowest level of maturity in that sense. But in the next 12 months, how mature can you get? So
So
maturity
that's the
levels,
design. That's in design.
yeah. So you're looking at 1 to 5, what level of maturity you want for each of the services that you want to deliver. So obviously you can't be at level 5 on all your services unless you have the competence, you have the budget, you have the buy-in to do all of that. So there are different levels of maturity, and it's not because you're level 1 or relatively immature that that's a bad thing. It's awareness. So here, we know that we have a training program at the company for project management. Right now, we think that we're at a 2. Then the question is, where do you want to be in 12 months? Do you want to be at a 3? So then if you want to deliver that, then you actually have to make a procedure. So this is what I liked about the PMO CP certification, is that for every service that you want to deliver, you need to have a corresponding procedure.
Great. Tell me
So,
about deployment. Is that where you would build
yeah,
the
so now we have
procedure?
procedure. Exactly. So now we have procedures to figure out how, in fact, you're going to deliver each of those services. And what I like about it is it kind of gives you a really comprehensive guidance on how to set up your procedure and to what level that procedure is going to be that's going to be developed, and then you're actually going to roll it out. So Are you still with me,
Yes, I'm
Alana?
still with you. I just wanted to make it bigger to fill the screen
Okay,
because I'm
you're
getting
good.
a
Okay.
closer picture. So that's the deployment phase where you're making the procedures in that phase 3.
Yes, and then you want to make sure that you also have the people within your PMO that can deliver that service. So, for example, I'll use again mentoring program. So, who are your mentors, or who are the people that can actually make that program happen? Who can create the procedure? Who can deploy the procedure and make sure that it is actually running the way that the procedure says? And you can actually do a QC check to make sure that you're delivering the metrics on that program. How many mentors are you wanting to have in this program? How many mentees? What business lines or business units are going to be included? What locations? So it's very specific, and then you're able to measure it like with KPIs.
So quality control check, and then you move into the enhancement phase.
Yeah, exactly. So now you're going to be looking at, so quality control kind of starts at the service monitoring and enhancement phase, and then you should be getting feedback. You should be getting at least quarterly feedback on any service that you're providing to make sure that one, it's being used, and two, the value is being perceived, and three, if there are any enhancements or changes that need to be made, then you're getting that feedback. And that's one of the challenges in any company is getting feedback, right? So feedback is golden, as we say, and sometimes you have to be really, really, push pretty hard to get that feedback. But it is great to have that loop to make sure that you're actually talking to what your customers. So your customers, obviously, for a PMO, are your internal project managers, your business leaders, unless your PMO actually also manages external projects to clients, which is also another service that can be done, and I think has a lot of value to it.
So then that was that stakeholder management inside of that layer of it. I could see that there's a lot of opportunity there. I wanted to ask you about my final phase, which I love realization because I always have a bias towards action. Tell me a little bit about the benefits realization and what that looks like for the value when you get to that point. Talk to me about that.
So as a service provider, it's hard to really measure the impact that your PMO has quantitatively, right? So maybe if you are physically managing projects and you could say, yeah, we wanted to have a certain margin on this job, we landed higher. Okay, that's value. But what if you don't have a way to manage it that way? So really the way it provides an ROI calculation that says, here are the number of people that I have in my PMO. Here's what the PMO costs me today. It's solving certain problems that we have in the organization. And there's also a list of like 14 of the top problems that most companies have in projects, which is great. So it's like, if we tackle those or some of those, can you quantify how much loss you're getting? So typically, you're losing money either operationally, or you might be losing money because you're not managing the financial part of your project pretty well. What are your losses? You quantified your losses. Your PMO can then go after those losses and either minimize them or turn them into zero or positive. That is a direct correlation where you can say, I see the real ROI of the PMO in that way. If you don't have those values, or it's hard to measure if you really had a direct impact on solving those, then it is the value recognition. There is a scorecard, which is the last stage, which I really, really like. And I'm in the process of actually implementing that right now. It's got 4 pillars to it that ties to the different services that you can provide that have been agreed upon with the stakeholders. And then over time, you're showing, are we on track? Again, mentoring program. Are we on track? Are people meeting? Are they giving you feedback? Are we more successful in our projects than we were before? Are you getting out the training courses that you said you were going to? You said you're going to deliver X number of courses in the month of July. Did you do that? Well, May now in this case. But whatever it is, whatever you agreed to happen, then you have the QC check, but then you also have a way to report that. And it's great to have that scorecard sent out at least quarterly to your top stakeholders to say, hey, we're still here. We're a service provider. Don't forget about us, because project managers, sometimes we feel like it's a thankless job. As long as all the plates are spinning, no one says anything, and they don't know what they don't know because, hey, it's under control. That's what I'm paying you to do, is keep my projects under control. But in the case of a PMO, It's similar to that. It's like, so what am I really getting out of it? And if one negative thing were to happen, does that change the entire perception of the PMO? Whereas if you had a scorecard that had 12 or 14 different parts to it, you can say, we got 8 that are green, we got 4 that are yellow, and we have 2 that are red. And obviously the reds, you always want to make sure stakeholder management goes straight and report the red. They want to hear it from you. You should be the one that's reporting the bad news always. I think I made a video about this on my LinkedIn page. But the green, you want it to come from someone else.
I
That's
wanted
showing
to
more
ask
people are
you,
buying it.
oh, pardon me. I wanted to ask you, are you using this model right now in your work? Tell me about what that's like to apply the model that you're teaching us today. Tell me a little bit about what that is.
Yes, absolutely. So we are working it into our processes. Like I said on the previous, on our intro, on the previous video, I would say we were about 75% ish in line with this mentality or this philosophy without actually the QC part, without the scorecard part. So now we are doing that. And we use our internal SharePoint page as a vehicle to communicate everything that the PMO is doing. So that is a way for people to get, I don't want to say information overload, but if you see all the moving parts that are happening within a PMO, it's like, wow, I didn't realize you were doing all of that. Or, yeah, that's what we agreed to do. And you're doing what we agreed you would do.
Do you see AI impacting this process very much? What are some of the things that you could see when you're looking long term from a strategy sense of the impact of AI on the reporting structure for the PMO?
It's a great question, by the way. I right now I see AI probably more in an operational way. So if you look at the strategic, the tactical, and the operational elements of the PMO, obviously it could streamline readily the operational parts, such as planning, such as the way that projects are being run, metrics, Power BI presentations, and things like that. When we get a little bit higher, I think it's not there yet. I don't think it really has because you have to train AI to do what you want it to do. So in my case, it's like, well, by the time I train it to do what I want it to do, I've already done what I needed to do. So it's not quite there yet to be intuitive and say, okay, unless I have enough data from the previous 4 or 5 cycles that it can look at and say, over time, your score in the mentoring program, for example, continues to go up. That means you're being effective at what you're doing. Therefore, you should do it this way. Or your maturity in a specific service has gone from 2 to 3 like you wanted it to do, or it went down for a specific reason. I haven't seen yet how that can be tied to the process, but if anybody knows a way to do that, I'm always willing to learn new things.
I'm always interested to see what the nuances are with us having to train it. So that's why I asked that question. And the fact that you're actively applying it right now is pretty exciting. Sounds like it added new tools to your tool set and then allow you to grow and create like another toolkit for delivery, a system of delivery of value. In fact, that's what they wanted us to change our mindset to, right? That project management, program management, portfolio management is a value delivery system or a group of value delivery systems. So hearing this from the PMO really reinforces what we're being taught now.
And just to piggyback on that, I would say, and I love the new definition of project success, or the more like our conference we're going to be having very soon, where we can do more, M.O.R.E. So if you haven't seen that yet on the PMI.org, it is fantastic, because if you look at KPIs versus project success factors, so one thing that I always like to stress is, let's set up project teams for success. Let's not say we know what we want, we have KPIs, and then we will ding our PMs when they're not meeting certain KPIs. So it becomes a negative connotation rather than stressing the positive. So I like the term project success factors, and the same thing for the PMO. Are we being successful? Okay, yes or no, but it needs to be a positive message also to gain buy-in and people to adopt what you want them to do. But to your point, making sure that we're stressing, yes, we have metrics that we have to meet, but let's, from a stakeholder standpoint, and I think you've mentioned that a couple of times, which I fully agree, is in the mindset of a PM, we're doing everything. We have the weight of the world on our shoulders. Sometimes some positive reinforcement really goes a long way.
Well, I wanted to, before we leave, share the screen to the conference so
Oh,
that
yeah.
people will know where to go. So allow me to do that briefly. And I know that you've got some really great stuff set up for us. Let's see. We got our desktop that's sharing my screen. There it is. Save the date. Do you see it there?
I do, yes.
So this is our conference. We're at the PMI Houston website, and one of the things we want you to do is to definitely save the date, August 4th and 5th. And we should be seeing some videos soon, right?
Correct. And actually, you can already sign up. You can see there, click here to register. And we've also got this all over social media as well, where you can go ahead and sign up. And there's an early bird discount still available. I think that we have extended it. There you can see through June 20th. So there's still time to take advantage of that discount. And I'm really excited that the theme this year, like we said, is we're merging one of the new PMI cultural values, which is together we can, with do more, which is the subject of project success, redefining project success, and making sure that again we are keeping with the times. So I think we are totally in line with the current trend that's coming out of PMI Global, and I'm really excited that conference is just a couple months away.
So together we can do more. And even today, as you can see, we're doing more to help our membership and the stakeholders in the community and a lot of other people understand the role of the project or program management office. Before, I had an intent in my mind, oh, they're about standard operating procedures and templates. But now what I'm seeing is more of the value add. And with that, I'd like you to give us the last word on it, Jason. What are your thoughts at this point about what you're doing with PMO and the CP certification?
That is an excellent observation, by the way, because I had the same perception you did when I first started, because I thought, well, I'm an experienced project manager. This is a no-brainer. I know what best practices are. Just set them up. You have benchmarks. You have best practices. That's it. Follow the best practice, and therefore you will have organizational success. That is a limiting belief.
Mm.
It's partially true. So you do want to make sure that you are promoting best practices and you are getting that engagement, but you also want to be more holistic in that it's people manage projects. I mean, you said AI and we have automated workflows, and that's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, people manage projects, and we need to look at the people side and make sure that we are understanding what the challenges are today in today's world of super fast information flow and too much information. Can we make it easier? And that's another one of our values, by the way, is making it easier. So I love the new cultural values that PMI also came out with at the end of last year. I think they're totally in line. And as a project manager, it makes me feel more, from a psychological standpoint, I feel better about the profession. I feel like it's really getting the value and the credit that it really deserves.
Well, with that, you have the last word. We'll come back on and we'll talk about those values. And we'll also talk a few more times before conference so we could let people know what the deal is. And perhaps I could even interview a few of the speakers and have them come on and talk to us a little bit about their expectations of the conference.
Sounds fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. And again, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you and to your audience.
My pleasure.